Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of The Setup. We are filming this from Zion National Park. On our way out here earlier this week, we stopped in Salt Lake City at the Hoyt headquarters, and they gave us a tour, showed us their whole manufacturing process, and we're going to bring you along on that tour now as well.
This is our marketing studio. So we do a lot of video and photography work in here, obviously, and then half our team have their office here where they do their editing. And so this is cool to have because anytime we need to shoot something, we can just do it right here. And back in the day, we'd have to rent time at a studio, and so we'd have to schedule that out and make sure we have everything we need, and you get one shot at it. But now we can just, as soon as we have an idea, jump in here, film it.
Do you shoot all your catalog stuff here, or do you send that out?
Yeah, shoot everything.
You guys shoot your own?
Hoyt University's in here, where our dealers would come in and get trained for a couple days. So right now, boxing project in here, so we needed the space. But
So I'm looking at that big screen behind me and the projector. Surely you guys are watching Hoyt's opening whitetails.
Oh yeah, we come in here at lunch
every
and watch
Monday?
it. Yeah, as soon as the one drops, we're in here watching it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
So when we moved this building, or we bought this building, it was just 4 empty walls. So we were able to design everything interior, the flow of parts, manufacturing, everything how we wanted it. And one of the things our engineers did is design high pressure and low pressure areas just to control the dust. Because right now we're in the area where we make limbs, so there's a lot of dust being created. And so this is a low pressure room, so that outside of this room, the air is always pushing in to keep the dust in here, which is just a little thing that I would have never thought of, but now it helps control the mess. So that room right there is where we do our laminations, and that's another high pressure room so that this dust won't go in there and contaminate the lamination process.
And we could show you all of this stuff up close, but then we'd have to kill you.
Yeah, this area has a lot of proprietary information and machinery we use that we wouldn't want other people to see. So this shows some of our different limb processes. This, for example, is our axia recurve limb, and just all the different layers of carbon and wood and glass that go in that. And then it gets laminated. And then from there it gets shaped and trimmed, gets painted, and then there's the finished product there.
So are you guys like a just-in-time manufacturer? Do you build to order, or do you build ahead?
It depends. Certain time of year, like when we're getting ready to launch product, we'll build ahead because we know we're going to be able to sell 70-29s in certain colors that are the most popular, and we're going to sell 60-28s. But then once we kind of get that pipeline filled, then we switch to build to order.
Okay.
So then we're not trying to guess what people want, guess on inventory. And then also there's a lot of fringe sizes, a left-handed 50-pound, 26-inch camo bow. Like, we're not going to build a whole bunch of those and put them on the shelf, right? We're going to build that one when we get the order for it.
So typically, what would be a turnaround time on a specialty bow that you're building to order?
So right now, while we just launched product, so we're trying to get the pipeline filled, our lead time right now is 8 weeks on a bow that's ordered.
Wow.
If it's not one that we pre-built. There's
Right.
some bows we pre-built, we have them on the shelf, and those will ship tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if you order something that's not on the shelf, 8 weeks it'll get built. And then as we get back orders taken care of later in the late winter, early spring, those lead times will come down to 3 to 4 weeks. Below us is our target paint area. So all of our target limbs, recurve and compound target limbs, they go in this silver building, I guess it's a building. That's our paint booth. They go in there, get painted. They'll come out here to these wet sand tables, and then we'll wet sand any imperfections out of the paint. Then they'll go back in, we'll get a decal on. Then they'll go back in, get a clear coat, and then come back out, and then they'll get inspected. Any imperfections in the clear coat will get wet sanded out, and then they'll go in for a final coat. So this is a cool area. It's a combination of a lot of handwork and technology that we do a lot of that here. You see a lot of really cool robotics, and then someone doing a bunch of handwork. It's just a combination of craftsmanship there. So they'll come out in the sheet shop. They're aluminum like this. They'll go in this little booth right below us is the powder coat booth. They'll get powder coated. The base coat has a lot to do with the final look of the bow. So like a real tree bow, for example, a real tree edge, they'll get kind of a tan base coat. And then once it gets dipped, the film and the base coat together produce that rich camouflage. So next we're going to go in here in the machine shop. It's kind of noisy in there, so I'll kind of explain what we're going to see, but I'll show you a few different processes we use, because some of our bows we machine out of just a straight billet of aluminum, which is the most expensive way to build a bow because you have so much aluminum scrap. But if it's a low volume bow, in the end it's actually the most efficient way. And then our higher volume bows, like our hunting bows, we actually have a forged aluminum, and that's an expensive way to start a bow because the forging is so expensive. But you'll see why it saves us a bunch of money. The part that we start with is a lot smaller piece of aluminum, so we're buying less aluminum and having to machine less aluminum out of the way. So it gets through the machines faster. And we also machine all of our cams, our pockets, our modules, accessory parts. This is probably one of the busiest areas of Hoyt. More employees and more shifts work.
So just to touch base on that real quick, you guys make almost everything here.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some good machine shop partners for stuff, you know, where we just don't have the capacity, but we make as much.
So people like to say, oh, it's American made or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's made down the road. If it's not made here, we have machine shops around the valley, a couple around the country. We've got a really good machine shop partner in Ohio, for example. But all our risers made here. I think most of our cams are made here. Some of our other small parts we'll send out. So everything comes out of the machines like this, and it actually has coolant in it, and it's kind of wet and nasty. So we have a machine that compresses it all, dump it in there, compresses it, squeezes the coolant out, and then leaves us with a solid chunk of aluminum. So this is one of our cams, comes off the machine. When it comes off, it's really sharp, like you can see these sharp edges. So that would cut your bowstring pretty quick. So we have these great big tumbling machines. They're full of this stuff. These are ceramic chips. And they go in this big tumbler and it tumbles them around. So we throw the cams in there. They just tumble around in this stuff. And when they come out, you can see how smooth it is now. All the sharp edges are knocked off. And then we send it to get anodized. And then it goes on your bow. Example is a piece of film, right? It has the camel pattern on it. And then here, this is a hot water tank. And so what we'll do is we'll take that film and lay it on top of the water. And after it sits on the water, I think it's 60 seconds, this right here will come across and spray an activator on it. And the activator basically it dissolves the plastic, leaves the ink on top of the water, and then they take the bow and the riser or the limbs, whatever they're dipping, and they'll just dip it down through the water. And the ink sticks to it, it comes out of the water, it has the camel pattern. So this is where the final assembly happens. So all the parts that we've seen get built, the limbs and the machine shop parts and everything, it all comes together here. And you see this assembly line down the middle are these rollers. So they'll put all the bows in a part, the box. The team that assembles all these kits will roll down the middle, and when they're done building a bow, they'll go grab a next kit. Then right here, they'll add the final parts and pieces on, the dowels to hold the limbs on, whatever else, you know, and then it goes over to that other side where they have the bow presses. They'll press the bow, put strings and cables on, do a check on the poundage and draw length, and then it goes on back on the conveyor down to the end where it gets boxed and shipped out.
Okay, so a question for you, Jeremy. So if somebody orders a bow, somebody here is going to kit it, all the parts into that box. Right. It's going to come over here, so it's going to have like an order number. Go ahead, they'll walk through it. This is very informal. So it's going to have an order number on it or something to track it through the system.
Yeah.
And then that stays with the bow the whole way through until it finally gets completed, put into a box,
yep.
and then shipped.
Yep.
So it's yeah, it's pretty cool. So one person then basically kits, or one team kits up every single bow that goes through here.
Yeah, so the production team will kit it up. We have the scheduler starts it all. He's up in our supply chain office. So he looks at the sales orders and says, tomorrow or today I'm going to schedule these bows, and these bows will be built in 5 days. So during that 5 days, limbs are getting made, cams are coming from anodized or whatever has to happen so that all the parts are here. 5 days later, that bow gets built and out the door.
So every day that decision gets remade.
Yeah.
as to what's going to happen, what's going to start into the process that day.
Yep. So he starts with the oldest orders, looks at the oldest orders, makes sure, okay, do we have all the parts and pieces for these orders? If we do, then we schedule them. If not, he moves to the next oldest and find, until he can fulfill a full day of schedules. Here, this is our string department. All of these, you kind of see these long blue benches. Each of those is a string machine. So we make all of our own strings and cables here. And those are really cool machines. They have a touch screen on the end of them, so the operator just touches, I need to build a 60-inch string. The string jig will go to that size for them. They put the layup on there, and then they hit start, and it'll stretch it, and it'll spin it and twist it, and then it holds it in the twist, holds the twist while they put the serving on. So the strings are served under tension and already twisted. So, like I said, there's kind of a belief that as soon as you get your bow, you need to go get a set of strings. But with our bows, our strings are made as good as any aftermarket strings. And a lot of pro staffers will actually call me and say, hey, can you make my strings this color so they look like they come from my sponsor? Because I don't want to change them. So
you can't talk about, or we can't look at the machines themselves because they're proprietary.
Yeah, they're really, our engineers design them, build them, and they're really cool. But anyone who knows how to make strings, just that part of the string machine going to the size you need, instead of you having to undo a clamp and move the jig down and get it exactly, the string machine does all that for you. And then it also stretches the material right then. I know a lot of guys that make their own strings, and they make their harness and they hang it with a Dutch oven full of brick, and they hang it overnight, and they make the strings the next day. Our machine does all that for you in one step.
My dad and I used to make our own.
Yeah.
And we always bought everything from BCY and did it ourselves, but that was what we'd have to do.
Yeah.
Find the heaviest thing we could find, hang it.
Hang it on.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool.
So this is the end of the line, but you can kind of get a feel. These bows come down the middle. Each of the operators are grabbing the kits off and making the bows. And then after they're done, they hang it on this assembly line right here, which brings it down to the end of the line, and then it gets shipped.
So the kits are coming this way down the middle. They're grabbing them, peeling them off. When they're done, then the final bows are coming this way also.
Yeah.
And when they hit the end, there's somebody waiting over here to box them.
Yep.
Okay. Then where do they go?
And then they go to shipping. So when it gets boxed, they'll get flagged if the bow already has an order. If it already has an order, then they'll also print a UPS label right here and ship it right off the end of the line. If it's something being pre-built that does not have an order yet, then it just goes to shipping. They'll put it on the shelf, and then when an order does come through for that particular bow, shipping will take it off the shelf and ship it.
So if you want to buy, what is it, 100% off? No, that'd be too much, wouldn't it?
I can't remember what it is. It's at least 10%.
It's at least 10% with promo code Winke, W-I-N-K-E, all caps. You don't get any bows, unfortunately, but you can get hats and shirts.
So now most of the stuff that these guys ship is coming off the end of the assembly line today, moved down here and ships out. We do have, I'll show you where we keep all of our hats and t-shirts and hoodies. These are all in stock. So all of our new hoodies are in stock already this year. So this stuff ships out every day. Our new antler hoodie. But this whole aisle here is just all our promo goods. It all, like I said, we get just all our web store orders and dealer orders that are ordering this stuff.
So what is your most popular merchandise?
Our hoodies, yeah. Everyone loves hoodies.
Yeah.
They're always our most popular.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would think it'd be hats, but it's hoodies.
Hats are up there too.
See, I like this hat, by the way.
Yeah, hats are up there. And hats are easy because they're third of the price of a hoodie or half the price, so it's easier to buy a bunch of hats. But our hoodie is always, like this particular one, this is a black zipper hoodie.
What's on the front of it?
Just a small Hoyt logo.
Okay.
And it's been way popular this year. It's kind of a heavyweight, really cozy hoodie, and I like it because it's a zipper and I don't have to pull it over my head. I'm getting tired of that, but
yeah.
But all our hoodies really popular. Yeah, we always sell a pile of them.
Oh, Jeremy, what happens in this room?
Yeah, this is our front office. So we have our customer service team, accounting team, and credit. Some of the managers' offices. This is the front office of Hoyt right here. So when you call in with a question, one of these team members here are going to take your call and help you out.
So all this game and stuff that you've shot, right?
Yeah, these are all my
Just a
animals.
portion of your.
Yeah, the rest are at home, but I brought a couple of them in here. No, these all do belong to either employees or former employees. So
I remember Randy Walk's collection used to be out in the entryway, didn't it?
Yeah, he had some out there. In fact, most of these mule deer are Randy's. He retired last year and didn't have room at home, so they're still hanging here. But
Well, we appreciate you joining us this week. We had a lot of fun at the Hoyt plant, and we're going to continue with some more of the things that we filmed there in the coming weeks here on the setup. We spent some time with Jeremy in their studio and asked him a few questions, technical questions about the tunability of bows, some of the things that they've learned, and then also we reviewed the VTM, the new one for 2023. So we'll see you right back here again next week for the next episode of The Setup.